Pratique inglês todos os dias, ouça, fale, pratique e melhore suas habilidades linguísticas com a gente. Quando terminar, continue praticando no nosso app. É grátis. Link na descrição. Hora de praticar.
War is a serious topic. War is a serious topic.
A guerra é um assunto sério.
War is a serious topic. War is a serious topic. Many countries have experienced war. Many countries have experienced war.
Muitos países já passaram por guerras.
Many countries have experienced war. Many countries have experienced war. The soldiers went to the battlefield. The soldiers went to the battlefield.
Os soldados foram para o campo de batalha.
The soldiers went to the battlefield. The soldiers went to the battlefield. There was a war between the two nations. There was a war between the two nations.
Houve uma guerra entre as duas nações.
There was a war between the two nations. There was a war between the two nations. The army moved into position. The army moved into position.
O exército se posicionou.
The army moved into position. The army moved into position. They signed a peace agreement. They signed a peace agreement.
Eles assinaram um acordo de paz.
They signed a peace agreement. They signed a peace agreement. The war lasted for many years. The war lasted for many years.
A guerra durou muitos anos.
The war lasted for many years. The war lasted for many years. Civilians were caught in the conflict. Civilians were caught in the conflict.
Civis foram pegos no conflito.
Civilians were caught in the conflict. Civilians were caught in the conflict. The general gave the command. The general gave the command.
O general deu a ordem.
The general gave the command. The general gave the command. The city was under attack. The city was under attack.
A cidade estava sob ataque.
The city was under attack. The city was under attack. They declared war after the invasion. They declared war after the invasion.
Eles declararam guerra após a invasão.
They declared war after the invasion. They declared war after the invasion. Many people lost their homes. Many people lost their homes.
Muitas pessoas perderam suas casas.
Many people lost their homes. Many people lost their homes. The soldiers returned from war. The soldiers returned from war.
Os soldados voltaram da guerra.
The soldiers returned from war. The soldiers returned from war. Families were separated by the conflict. Families were separated by the conflict.
Famílias foram separadas pelo conflito.
Families were separated by the conflict. Families were separated by the conflict. The war caused much suffering. The war caused much suffering.
A guerra causou muito sofrimento.
The war caused much suffering. The war caused much suffering. They fought bravely in the battle. They fought bravely in the battle.
Eles lutaram bravamente na batalha.
They fought bravely in the battle. They fought bravely in the battle. The enemy attacked at night. The enemy attacked at night.
O inimigo atacou à noite.
The enemy attacked at night. The enemy attacked at night. They tried to avoid war. They tried to avoid war.
Eles tentaram evitar a guerra.
They tried to avoid war. They tried to avoid war. Peace talks began last week. Peace talks began last week.
As negociações de paz começaram na semana passada.
Peace talks began last week. Peace talks began last week. The battle was long and hard. The battle was long and hard.
A batalha foi longa e difícil.
The battle was long and hard. The battle was long and hard. The war destroyed many buildings. The war destroyed many buildings.
A guerra destruiu muitos prédios.
The war destroyed many buildings. The war destroyed many buildings. They used tanks and planes. They used tanks and planes.
Eles usaram tanques e aviões.
They used tanks and planes. They used tanks and planes. The country was at war. The country was at war.
O país estava em guerra.
The country was at war. The country was at war. He served in the military. He served in the military.
Ele serviu nas Forças Armadas.
He served in the military. He served in the military. The army protected the border. The army protected the border.
O exército protegeu a fronteira.
The army protected the border. The army protected the border. War brings pain and fear. War brings pain and fear.
A guerra traz dor e medo.
War brings pain and fear. War brings pain and fear. The soldiers wore uniforms. The soldiers wore uniforms.
Os soldados usavam uniformes.
The soldiers wore uniforms. The soldiers wore uniforms. The conflict spread to other areas. The conflict spread to other areas.
O conflito se espalhou para outras áreas.
The conflict spread to other areas. The conflict spread to other areas. They hoped for peace. They hoped for peace.
Eles esperavam por paz.
They hoped for peace. They hoped for peace. Refugees fled the war zone. Refugees fled the war zone.
Refugiados fugiram da zona de guerra.
Refugees fled the war zone. Refugees fled the war zone. The soldiers followed orders. The soldiers followed orders.
Os soldados seguiram ordens.
The soldiers followed orders. The soldiers followed orders. They trained for combat. They trained for combat.
Eles treinaram para o combate.
They trained for combat. They trained for combat. There were many casualties. There were many casualties.
Houve muitas baixas.
There were many casualties. There were many casualties. People protested against the war. People protested against the war.
Pessoas protestaram contra a guerra.
People protested against the war. People protested against the war. The fighting stopped after the treaty. The fighting stopped after the treaty.
A luta parou após o tratado.
The fighting stopped after the treaty. The fighting stopped after the treaty. They bombed the airbase. They bombed the airbase.
Eles bombardearam a base aérea.
They bombed the airbase. They bombed the airbase. The war ended last year. The war ended last year.
A guerra terminou no ano passado.
The war ended last year. The war ended last year. Shells exploded near the camp. Shells exploded near the camp.
Projéteis explodiram perto do acampamento.
Shells exploded near the camp. Shells exploded near the camp. The troops marched forward. The troops marched forward.
As tropas marcharam para frente.
The troops marched forward. The troops marched forward. The war changed everything. The war changed everything.
A guerra mudou tudo.
The war changed everything. The war changed everything. The Navy blocked the port. The Navy blocked the port.
A Marinha bloqueou o porto.
The Navy blocked the port. The Navy blocked the port. They captured the enemy base. They captured the enemy base.
Eles capturaram a base inimiga.
They captured the enemy base. They captured the enemy base. He was wounded in the war. He was wounded in the war.
Ele foi ferido na guerra.
He was wounded in the war. He was wounded in the war. The Air Force launched an attack. The Air Force launched an attack.
A Força Aérea lançou ataque.
The Air Force launched an attack. The Air Force launched an attack. They rebuilt after the war. They rebuilt after the war.
Eles reconstruíram após a guerra.
They rebuilt after the war. They rebuilt after the war. The war began suddenly. The war began suddenly.
A guerra começou de repente.
The war began suddenly. The war began suddenly. The conflict caused a crisis. The conflict caused a crisis.
O conflito causou uma crise.
The conflict caused a crisis. The conflict caused a crisis. War affects everyone. War affects everyone.
A guerra afeta a todos.
War affects everyone. War affects everyone. They sent aid to the victims. They sent aid to the victims.
Eles enviaram ajuda às vítimas.
They sent aid to the victims. They sent aid to the victims. The soldiers built a camp. The soldiers built a camp.
Os soldados construíram acampamento.
The soldiers built a camp. The soldiers built a camp. Weapons were used in the battle. Weapons were used in the battle.
Armas foram usadas na batalha.
Weapons were used in the battle. Weapons were used in the battle. They negotiated a ceasefire. They negotiated a ceasefire.
Eles negociaram cessar-fogo.
They negotiated a ceasefire. They negotiated a ceasefire. The war created many problems. The war created many problems.
A guerra criou muitos problemas.
The war created many problems. The war created many problems. The army moved in quickly. The army moved in quickly.
O exército avançou rapidamente.
The army moved in quickly. The army moved in quickly. They lost many soldiers. They lost many soldiers.
Eles perderam muitos soldados.
They lost many soldiers. They lost many soldiers. The government declared a state of war. The government declared a state of war.
O governo declarou estado de guerra.
The government declared a state of war. The government declared a state of war. The rebels started the conflict. The rebels started the conflict.
Os rebeldes iniciaram o conflito.
The rebels started the conflict. The rebels started the conflict. The people lived in fear. The people lived in fear.
O povo vivia com medo.
The people lived in fear. The people lived in fear. He told stories from the war. He told stories from the war.
Ele contou histórias da guerra.
He told stories from the war. He told stories from the war. Both sides suffered heavy losses. Both sides suffered heavy losses.
Ambos os lados sofreram grandes perdas.
Both sides suffered heavy losses. Both sides suffered heavy losses. They tried to end the war. They tried to end the war.
Eles tentaram acabar com a guerra.
They tried to end the war. They tried to end the war. The battle happened at dawn. The battle happened at dawn.
A batalha aconteceu ao amanhecer.
The battle happened at dawn. The battle happened at dawn. They dropped bombs on the city. They dropped bombs on the city.
Eles jogaram bombas na cidade.
They dropped bombs on the city. They dropped bombs on the city. Peace is better than war. Peace is better than war.
A paz é melhor do que a guerra.
Peace is better than war. Peace is better than war. The war caused a food shortage. The war caused a food shortage.
A guerra causou escassez de alimentos.
The war caused a food shortage. The war caused a food shortage. He fought for his country. He fought for his country.
Ele lutou por seu país.
He fought for his country. He fought for his country. The war brought destruction. The war brought destruction.
A guerra trouxe destruição.
The war brought destruction. The war brought destruction. The front line kept moving. The front line kept moving.
A linha de frente continuava mudando.
The front line kept moving. The front line kept moving. They sent more troops. They sent more troops.
Eles enviaram mais tropas.
They sent more troops. They sent more troops. The war divided the country. The war divided the country.
A guerra dividiu o país.
The war divided the country. The war divided the country. The conflict was very complex. The conflict was very complex.
O conflito era muito complexo.
The conflict was very complex. The conflict was very complex. They used guns and rockets. They used guns and rockets.
Eles usaram armas e foguetes.
They used guns and rockets. They used guns and rockets. The war had many causes. The war had many causes.
A guerra teve muitas causas.
The war had many causes. The war had many causes. They destroyed the bridge. They destroyed the bridge.
Eles destruíram a ponte.
They destroyed the bridge. They destroyed the bridge. The war shocked the world. The war shocked the world.
A guerra chocou o mundo.
The war shocked the world. The war shocked the world. The soldiers dug trenches. The soldiers dug trenches.
Os soldados cavaram trincheiras.
The soldiers dug trenches. The soldiers dug trenches. They took prisoners of war. They took prisoners of war.
Eles capturaram prisioneiros de guerra.
They took prisoners of war. They took prisoners of war. The war was on the news. The war was on the news.
A guerra estava nas notícias.
The war was on the news. The war was on the news. She lost her brother in the war. She lost her brother in the war.
Ela perdeu o irmão na guerra.
She lost her brother in the war. She lost her brother in the war. They planned a surprise attack. They planned a surprise attack.
Eles planejaram ataque surpresa.
They planned a surprise attack. They planned a surprise attack. The war changed the map. The war changed the map.
A guerra mudou o mapa.
The war changed the map. The war changed the map. The soldiers needed supplies. The soldiers needed supplies.
Os soldados precisavam de suprimentos.
The soldiers needed supplies. The soldiers needed supplies. They rescued people from danger. They rescued people from danger.
Eles resgataram pessoas do perigo.
They rescued people from danger. They rescued people from danger. The war zone was dangerous. The war zone was dangerous.
A zona de guerra era perigosa.
The war zone was dangerous. The war zone was dangerous. They evacuated the city. They evacuated the city.
Eles evacuaram a cidade.
They evacuated the city. They evacuated the city. The war caused a refugee crisis. The war caused a refugee crisis.
A guerra causou uma crise de refugiados.
The war caused a refugee crisis. The war caused a refugee crisis. They fought in the mountains. They fought in the mountains.
Eles lutaram nas montanhas.
They fought in the mountains. They fought in the mountains. The attack was unexpected. The attack was unexpected.
O ataque foi inesperado.
The attack was unexpected. The attack was unexpected. They defended their homeland. They defended their homeland.
Eles defenderam sua pátria.
They defended their homeland. They defended their homeland. He returned home from service. He returned home from service.
Ele voltou para casa após o serviço.
He returned home from service. He returned home from service. There was no electricity during the war. There was no electricity during the war.
Não havia eletricidade durante a guerra.
There was no electricity during the war. There was no electricity during the war. They repaired the damaged roads. They repaired the damaged roads.
Eles consertarão as estradas danificadas.
They repaired the damaged roads. They repaired the damaged roads. Many children were affected. Many children were affected.
Muitas crianças foram afetadas.
Many children were affected. Many children were affected. The war was very costly. The war was very costly.
A guerra foi muito cara.
The war was very costly. The war was very costly. They sent peacekeepers to the area. They sent peacekeepers to the area.
Eles enviaram pacificadores para a área.
They sent peacekeepers to the area. They sent peacekeepers to the area. The conflict lasted a decade. The conflict lasted a decade.
O conflito durou uma década.
The conflict lasted a decade. The conflict lasted a decade. They feared another attack. They feared another attack.
Eles temiam outro ataque.
They feared another attack. They feared another attack. The rebels took control of the town. The rebels took control of the town.
Os rebeldes tomaram o controle da cidade.
The rebels took control of the town. The rebels took control of the town. Peace is the goal after war. Peace is the goal after war.
A paz é o objetivo após a guerra.
Peace is the goal after war. Peace is the goal after war. The war left deep scars. The war left deep scars.
A guerra deixou cicatrizes profundas.
The war left deep scars. The war left deep scars. They fought for freedom. They fought for freedom.
Eles lutaram por liberdade.
They fought for freedom. They fought for freedom. The army guarded the base. The army guarded the base.
O exército guardava a base.
The army guarded the base. The army guarded the base. They used helicopters in the fight. They used helicopters in the fight.
Eles usaram helicópteros na luta.
They used helicopters in the fight. They used helicopters in the fight.
Obrigado por assistir. Inscreva-se no canal e ative as notificações para receber novos vídeos e continuar sua jornada no inglês.